men's doubles and mixed doubles are the last match of the tie. So it's been, for Lee Chong-wei fans, a very long 8 months since he last graced a badminton court in competition. Having served his suspension for a doping violation, he's now back and will play his first match, competitive match, since the semi-final of the Asian Games. Now, and in singles we've got Lee against Lee. Lee Chong-wei, of course, for Malaysia, and Lee Dong-kyung for Korea. Now, of course, the Korean is not their top-ranked Korean. Song Wan-ho is their highest ranked, and incidentally, Lee Hyun-il shot up 6 places this week to 16 in the world after winning the New Zealand Grand Prix gold. 34-year-old left-hander Lee Hyun-il, twice 4th at the Olympic Games. That's the most desperate place, in my opinion, to finish. So desperately close to contesting Olympic final, and then you go away with nothing. Well, listen to the fans here. It isn't a Chinese player. It is Lee Chong-wei, and that speaks volumes for the badminton fans around the world. So many, so delighted to see this man back on the competition court. But the question mark, of course, if you've been out for 8 months, whether the cobwebs have been brushed off or whether you need a little time just to settle in. Well, we're about to discover. Jakob Simberg is our umpire for this one. Stephen Temple will be the service judge. So there, the 24-year-old from Seoul, Lee Dong-kyung. Lee Chong-wei, the former world #1, twice Olympic silver medalist. And of course he will have the opportunity to try and qualify for the Olympics once again. His world ranking, with that 8 months away from the competition court, has plummeted to 46 in the world ranking, but he has only got 3 tournaments towards that ranking. Actually down 1 place there. Lee Dong-kyung, he's down 2 places in the world ranking this week, having played 16 tournaments, down to 34, and he has a negative win-loss record for the year. 6 tournaments played, twice reached the 2nd round, and 4 first-round losses. His 4 first-round losses, incidentally, in Super Series, the 4 Super Series he's played. So this is the 3rd meeting between these 2 players, and as you can see, the previous 2, Lee Chong-wei has won both of them, the last being in the first round of the World Championships in Copenhagen last year. Now, there's a little bit of confusion in my mind, Steen. I was told that Lee Chong-wei, having been tested positive at those World Championships, was stripped of his silver medal, and then I read a different report that said that he hadn't actually been stripped of his medal, that the suspension was over. And so anyway, we won't dwell on that because we want to look forward and look forward to this match between the 2 players. But it is a tall order for this man, isn't it? Will it be 3rd time lucky for him? I suppose if there's an opportunity, it's when your opponent hasn't played for 8 months. And perhaps there are a few cobwebs that need to be brushed off from Lee Chong-wei before he's back to his scintillating best.
I have a feeling that Lee Chong-wei is quite compatible right now, and I think actually that these 8 months may go down as a blessing in disguise, because I don't see any tapings on the legs of Lee Chong-wei. He's had a break from all the tournaments. He's played an awful lot of tournaments, and yeah, it's good to have him back.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably rearing to go. Now it's called in. Perhaps his spatial awareness not quite back. But I remembered reading an article in the Malaysian newspaper back in September last year, and Lee Chong-wei was quoted as saying that, "I feel bored even looking at a badminton court right now." So all that pent-up energy and eagerness to get back, I'm sure he's absolutely delighted to be back on court.
And sometimes when you're away for that amount of time, normally it's pretty much due to injury.
Yeah.
You get a feeling of what's it's going to be like when it's over. So you get a little bit more focused being back on court. That time is limited, and there's no time wasting.
2-1.
Winner of the Korean Grand Prix last year, Lee Dong-kwon. I thought last year, actually, the Korean steam, we watched him in the All England Championships, coming through the qualifying event and then going all the way through to the quarter-final stage, where he lost out in 3 games to Wang Zhiming of China. And I thought at the time, this is the breakthrough for this young Korean. But it's never really materialised as I thought it would.
No, it's just been one of the guys. I mean, he's having trouble scoring points against the better players, in my opinion. He can play with them, but he's not really dangerous, or hasn't been so far. But there's also the possibility that he's been sort of preparing for the Olympic qualification period, and perhaps we can get a good look at that today and see where he stands.
Yeah. Nicely done. There is one thing I noticed with Lee Dong-kwon some considerable time ago, which is his grip when he's coming forward to the net on the backhand side. And in my opinion, he can't play a tight spinning net shot because of the grip he's holding. 90% of the time he lifts it. That's landed in as well.
5-2.
Yeah, there is a considerable sideways drift, and as we look down on the court, it's going from left to right. Yeah, lift. Brilliant.
Yeah, well played.
Totally outmaneuvered. Lee Dong-kwon. Look at that. Forehand side, then deep backhand. And then forehand front.
I think that grip we were talking about individual in the backhand side of the net. That should also cause him some trouble in the long, deep backhand corner.
3, 5.
Lift. Lift. Super smash. And the problem for a player, if I can notice it, and I'm not a coach, you know, you don't have to worry about one of the three corners, one of the four corners.
And that's really nice.
Yeah, you only you can forget about 25% of the court area because he's never going to play it, or if he plays it, it will be such a simple shot block.
And it's actually, it's like you say, it's 25% of the court when he has the shuttle in that area. And the problem for the Korean is that if the player notices it, he will have that shuttle in that area a lot more than if there's no floor there.
Yeah.
So it's even more than 25% impact on the playing, on the overall playing style.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it will take a couple of matches or maybe a couple of tournaments for Lee Chong-wei to get his eye completely back in. That missed defensive shot being a prime example of just the difference between being physically fit and being match fit. That's the backhand from deep in court. Now, when you said that to me earlier, and you said, well, the grip is also going to limit him from deep in the corner, back corner. Now, he tried to play a sort of cross court there, but it had no power, it had no real oomph to it. And, you know, why is that?
You normally want to change your grip a little bit when you're under pressure in the backhand corner. You want to change it a little bit towards the penhandle grip.
Yes.
And if he doesn't do that, he will lack control. And he will eventually also, if he tries to play deep to the baseline of Lee Chong-wei, he will have trouble playing deep enough.
Oh, it's called wide. I think I might challenge that. Well, early stages, chooses not to. Oh no, good call, line judge.
2号场地将要进行的是丹麦队与英格兰队的第4场比赛，女子单打，由莱恩对阵阿富汗，裁判员鲁斯福贝斯拉脱维亚
，That's well played. That's well played.
Yeah, you see, Lee Chong-wei, that's the perfect example of what you were talking about. He knows that he's not going to play it back to the net on the net shot. Lee Chong-wei was already moving to that round the head position.
In good position and being able to do that deceptive drop shot, which is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Coming backwards from across the court.
Now, Steen, I mean, obviously we've noticed this technical area with Lee Dong-kyung that could be improved upon. The man's 24 years of age. He's got to be trying to qualify for the Olympics. He's got a good chance of qualifying for the Olympics, maybe as the second Korean player. I think he's got to be in the top 16 to achieve that. Otherwise, it will just be one Korean player going to the Olympic Games. But for you as a coach, is it too late at the age of 24 to technically change a player?
No. But that's one thing I find it really strange that he has this big technical flaw, because you normally don't see it with players at this level that they have flaws that big if they play consistently on a super serious level. But that's the case here, and I'm really puzzled.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big problem to change it. Quite easy to change.
Oh, beautiful drop shot.
We can see what he's been practicing for the last 8 months.
Yeah. And for the first time in this opening game, Lee Chong goes into the lead. Ooh, net shot on the backhand side. Oh, that was going out, wasn't it? Yeah, clever smash.
9-all.
I suppose your comment that it's not that difficult actually to technically make that change for the Korean. And I suppose it goes back to what we were discussing a little earlier about whether the player has the belief and the trust in the coaches, that the coaches will understand that sometimes to become better and to change something technically, you need to take a step back before you take 2 forward or 3 forward.
That's the really hard part of making major improvements.
Yeah.
It's so hard to accept that for a period you actually become worse.
Yeah.
One of the best examples that I've heard of is from golf, where golfers take out as much as a year to change the swing, because that's what it takes.
Yeah.
With missed cuts and everything in order to get the swing that you want.
Yeah. But it seems to me, in golf, it's very different from badminton, because a golfer, it seems to me, as if they're never satisfied with their swing.
Yeah, exactly.
They're always tinkering with it.
All kinds of measures.
Yeah.
But I've also seen it in badminton, actually, with 2 Chinese players who had a respectively offensive and defensive natural playing style. Dongjong, who was a natural attacking player, took out half a year where he played mostly defensively in order to sort of get his defense up to a certain level, so he got enough chances that his offense would do the job for him.
Interesting. Well, this match is interesting too, because the Korean has the advantage, a slender advantage, just 1 point at the mid-game interval. Now that's the sort of missed defensive shot that is just, as I call it, getting rid of the cobwebs.
Yeah.
He's there, he's just mistimed it because he's just not yet match fit.
Yeah, and he's probably had some sparring with some of the Malaysian players, but definitely not challenged
Play.
in a way he's used to playing tournaments.
Has he been told to up the pace? No, that was a good follow-up. It was a good, powerful smash.
Upping the pace, that's interesting, because I know we've been discussing at some occasions that sometimes Lee Chong-wei uses his speed in a little bit of a negative way in order to get away with shots that are not really quality shots, and it would be interesting if he could use his speed proactively.
Okay. Look at that.
Twelve, 11.
Just delicious. Oh, so too is that.
That's a shot we haven't seen him make for a long while, and I don't mean the 8th month, but that reversed push. So efficient. If the opponent tries to read the racket, they will go across court.
Four points since the mid-game book, and all 4 points to Lee Chong Wei. Well, we didn't really hear what they said, but whatever they said, it's worked.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, definitely there's some situation where he's a little bit rusty.
Yeah.
11.
But I also feel that he has at least 1 or 2 gears more if
Yeah.
he needs that.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps he's a little bit too rusty. But yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, well played.
Twelve, 15.
We shouldn't forget, of course, that the pressure now on Lee Chong Wei, age of 32. You know, you've been out, there's been this huge controversy in the world of badminton.
Yeah.
You know, he's served his time, he's now back, and of course he will be wanting to show his fans around the world, and there are thousands and thousands of fans around the world that, you know, it's as if the 8 months haven't gone. He's still the player he was, and he'll be putting self-imposed pressure on himself to perform, and to perform as he did before. And you know, you can't be out for 8 months and then just suddenly step back onto court the same man, same player.
And I don't think we can imagine how much pressure there's on him.
Mm. Well,
17, 12.
that's put me in my place, hasn't it? He's still got the confidence. He's still got the skills. You don't become a bad player overnight anyway.
That shot got me out on the right side of the chair.
You were going in the opposite direction, you and me both. Seven of the last 8 points since the mid-game interval to Lee Chong Wei.
17, 12.
And this emphasizes the problems for Lee Dong-kyun, that how on earth is he going to score a point when he meets opponents that have a defense like this?
Yeah.
And a speed like this.
Oh, look at that net shot. Yeah.
Nineteen, 12.
9 of the 10 points played since the mid-game interval now.
Yeah, it was 11-10, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Game point, 12.
Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. 10-11 down at the mid-game interval. 10 of the next 12. 11 points and 8 game point opportunities. A little bit of trickery there once again from Lee Chong Wei, and since the mid-game interval just storms through a game number 1. 11 of 12 points. Well, I didn't think I would brush away the rust and the cobwebs as quickly as this, but he seems to have done. That was phenomenal. Quite extraordinary. So, opening game in favour of Malaysia, 21-12 in 21 minutes. Interesting, we should make mention of the Korean coach there, because that's Indra Wijaya, former Indonesian player. Then he represented Singapore and now coaching in Korea.
4号场地将要进行的是美国队与法国队的第4场比赛，男子双打，由菲利普州昂拉尔莱特对阵阿雷姆拉巴尔。 裁判员扎德、伊朗，发球裁判纳什、印度。
The fourth match of top 4 will be men's doubles. Philip Chu, Sasava, USA against Keun, Labar, France. Umpire, Muhammad, Iran. Service judge, Nadu, India.
So Lee Chong Wei of Malaysia. After that mid-game interval of game number 1, there was only really one player in that opening game. Phenomenal display. Oh! Well, that's good aggression from the Korean Lee Dong-kyung. Yeah, and that's what we were talking about in follow-up. If you hit a good shot in singles and that you know that there's a probable reply, a block to the net, that's when you follow forward.
And that was well done here, because it's a little bit harder to predict where Lee Chong Wei is going to return his defense.
That's a good run. Look at that net shot. He's walking back to that. Yeah, and pays the penalty too. Oh, that's the longest rally of the match. Look, he's just walking back. Did he think he was going long? Must have done, surely.
This is the kind of rally that I don't like to see Lee Chong-wei playing, because as we discussed in the ladies singles, he should be thinking as well. Of course, I accept that today, just let him play, let him enjoy it. But otherwise he should be thinking, what am I up against when it really matters? What am I up against when I play Chen Long, when I play Lin Dan? Then if I play loose shots, I'll be put under pressure. Here, if he plays a loose shot against Lee, he's not put under the pressure the same way he's going to be when he faces very best players in the world.
Of course, there's the other thing to consider, which is the other team in this group, India. This could be a very, very tight group, as we talked about earlier. And actually, if Malaysia could win this tie against Korea, then of course they have a possibility of ending top of the group and therefore a seeded position in the knockout stage.
Yeah.
And that's given the fact that China are the defending champions and #1 seeds, that could be worth an awful lot to a team. Be seeded.
A much better chance of getting a medal.
Yeah.
And actually, from what we've seen today, I mean, Malaysia a couple of weeks ago, and it looked like they weren't able to clear the group stage, but there's still matches to go in this tie here, but they have 2 matches against China where they have quite a good chance of winning. We've seen men's doubles play well yesterday, and in the first match today, and I mean, can't write off Lee Chong-wei either, so
No.
3-all.
anything can happen in these team matches where there's only 5 matches. Can't afford a little injury or unlucky or performance below par, then you'll
Yeah.
be in trouble.
Yeah.
Well played.
Ball 3.
Oh, look at that flick serve. Coming back in. Good rally. Brilliant. The punch clear there,
Yeah.
Steve.
Exactly, we saw that extra clear.
Yeah,
5-3.
this one coming up here, I think it is.
Yes.
Look, punch cleared, and that's the problem in the deep backhand that
Yeah.
you were talking about. 361, that's 224 miles per hour. That winning smash. I suppose one of the scenarios is sort of alluding to what we were discussing earlier in the women's singles selection,
3.
you know, and perhaps Lee Dong-kyung has been, I don't want to use the words sacrifice, but if they wanted to save
Definitely.
So Won-ho for playing against either Kashyap Padupalli or Shrikant Kidambi when they play against India, and that could be crucial in deciding the overall group. Perhaps, you know, they want to keep So Won-ho fresh. That's part of the selection.
Yeah, and perhaps at least not having a bad experience against Lee Chong-wei. I think that might more be the case than the freshness. The downside of that is that he will not be able to play in the hall until
that's landed way in. And that's why he needs to play in the hall, because of a drift like that.
Yeah. But I have a feeling that Korea feels that they have a good chance against India. They will be huge favourites in all the doubles disciplines, but we shouldn't underestimate them, and they've improved in the doubles, the Indian players. I don't think they're at a level where they consistently can threaten the Koreans yet, but then again, it's only one match where you need to trip a little bit.
Yeah. And look what happened to Lee Yong-dae's confidence today after 7 service faults called on him, and then he lost his confidence at the net, and of course in the end that men's doubles became not catastrophic, but it is catastrophic in that they lost, the #1 pair in the world lost to the Malaysians, so it's good pressure, isn't it?
It was a surprise that they lost. I would say the Malaysians are a really good pair. They're perhaps a little bit lower ranked than they should be due to the injury on Go. So it's not catastrophic, but it must raise some concern in the Korean camp. Will Lee Yong-dae, Song, will they be able to win when it matters the most?
Yeah.
8-5.
Well, I almost sense that Lee Chong-wei is on cruise control now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I think he knows that he's going to win this match. Oh, some trick shots for us. Interesting. Good follow-up, but very interesting that Lee Chong-wei is sort of working on these shots here from the first quarter of the court, perhaps the first third of the court, because he needs to be a little bit more clinical from that area. He creates a lot of opportunities for himself, but if he can perhaps take 10-15% more of them and make easy winners from the first third of the court, then that will be really crucial. Playing top 5 players.
Yeah.
10-5.
Finds the line.
11-5.
So to the mid-game interval, 6-point advantage. Ooh, that was closer than I thought. I don't think we've had a challenge yet in this men's singles, have we?
No.
No.
Fault 1, 20 seconds.
Poise and the balance.
Fault 1, 20 seconds.
Oh, that's nice.
Shot lift from Chong Wei.
6, 11.
Yeah. Fair point. I appreciate it was a short lift, but do you think that more aggressive style from the Korean would help his cause? I mean, just sort of
Not
at the
really.
moment no,
No.
but he just seems to be chasing whatever Lee Chong Wei is throwing at
Yeah,
him, and
yeah.
I'd like to sort of see him try and put the Malaysian under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, me too. But I don't think at the moment he has the technical skills to do it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think he was fortunate to get away with that. The Korean.
Eight, 11.
Well, hitting it long, but it's that commitment coming
Yeah.
forward. I think you've been referring to, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and I think the coach was satisfied anyway. Of course, he would have liked to seen it in, but there's almost no chance of defending that shot if it's in.
Mm.
If you get it back, you just lose the next one.
Yeah,
Taufik Hidayat was a master of this shot.
yeah. Oh, great disguise.
13, 8.
And of course, Lee Dong-kyung was part of the gold medal team, men's team, that won gold at the Asian Games
13, 8.
last year, beating China in the final. Brilliant. Goodness me.
I think we
No,
see
no,
some
no. Was that called out? Is that a challenge? What was he raising his hand for, Lee Chong Wei?
challenge. Yeah.
Well, I'm convinced that was in. I thought it was called in. Maybe he was immediately saying, I need the court attendant on. Give the court a good old mop. Yeah, that's still a bit slippery. Yep. Now, to me, that's the big difference between the two players. When Lee Chong Wei came forward to the net there on the backhand side, he can turn the shuttle. He can do something with it to create the weak reply.
Yeah. And we could see that the legs of Lee Dong-kyung was moving in the wrong direction
Yeah.
at first, and then he had to
Yeah.
move towards the other corner. And I think it's quite safe to say that there's some really good tendencies in Lee Chong Wei's game already now. We've seen this extra punch clear, we've seen the straight pushes from the net. We've seen some cross smashes from the forehand side, a lot more variation. And if that continues, he's going to be really, really lethal.
Yeah. Crikey. Well, there's a statement. He's world number one. And if he's going to be better than he was when he was world number one, because he's added some variation to his game and his skills. Oh gosh, we're in for an exciting time.
Yeah, I saw the Malaysian newspapers writing something about it was important to getting Lee Chong Wei back to #1 in the world ranking. And in my opinion, nothing could matter less than what number he is.
Yeah.
It matters more how he plays
Yeah.
at the big events, at the World Championships, at the Olympics.
Yeah. I know what they mean though, because if you're not #1 and you're not seeded, you can come up against Lin Dan or Chen Long first round.
Yeah, but if you play well enough, if you just play like the #1,
Yeah. .378, that's 234 miles an hour. Oh, goodness me.
17-9.
That, in my opinion, Steen, was more about the speed of movement rather than the speed of shot.
that's the single situation. I mean, speed of movement, speed of shot, perhaps the quickness of shot. The quickness of shot is more important than the speed of shot.
Yeah.
Quickness of movement and quickness of shot. Does that make sense?
9.
Oh, it does. Goodness me.
19.
And that all about angle. Look how the racket head just clips over the top of the shuttle. Virtually no follow through, and yet he plays an outright winner.
Yeah. And the lack of follow through makes it so hard to judge for the opponent, because the players, they use the body and the arm movement to judge what kind of shot is it.
Yeah. It's landed in,
Cover.
delaying the inevitable, one suspects. That's drifted long, and with it come match point opportunities for Malaysia in the form of Lee Chong Wei. And only needed the one opportunity. (21-12, 21-10). And after the men's singles, it means that Malaysia have a 2-1 lead in the overall tie against the second most successful team in the history of the Sudirman Cup. Well, in the end, it really was very comfortable, having been 11-10 down at the mid-game interval of game number 1. Those 11 of the next 12 points seeing out that first game. And then really in the second game, A little wave to the fans. Lee Chong Wei just giving his little glimpses of what we've missed in the last 8 months. So confirmation of the score, 21-12, 21-10 in 44 minutes. So there is confirmation that Malaysia lead the tie 2-1 against the number 2 seeds Korea. Malaysia having taken the men's doubles and, as we've just witnessed, the men's singles as well. Next up will be women's doubles and then a mixed doubles, the last of the 5 matches within the tie. So the 14th staging of the Sudirman Cup